Thanks for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. It's now time for us to look at what the papers are reporting this morning, and I'll be doing this as usual with my colleague Veronica. Veronica, let's start with the Nation newspaper with the banner headline, which is the main headline here. CJN, Fashola warn against rising misconduct among lawyers. Legal practitioners have deviated from rules. Don't be swayed by mob. Shetima tells judges. Above the masthead, we have 20 states yet to fully implement contributory pension scheme. We talked about that yesterday. DMO declares 1.099 trillion sukuk proceeds. Interesting development, and court throws out case against Xenox boss, aka others. If you look at this story, Veronica, CJN and former governor of Lagos State, Fashola, senior advocate of Nigeria, is warning against rising misconduct among lawyers. He said when he was in this parish, it was an anathema to see your case being argued on television. So he's talking about, sanctioning people who go on television to argue case, especially when they do it in a way that is sub judice.
It was at the Body of Benchers annual lecture that they were having this conversation, and Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekere, also raised concerns about the behavior of lawyers or legal practitioners, how it is that they are deviating from the practice itself. And it has become concerning. Rising from the 2023 elections, we had seen conflicting, conclusion of cases and all of that. And you see, even amongst the lawyers, it raised concerns how courts of concurrent jurisdiction, having coordinated jurisdiction, are having conflicting conclusions to cases and matters. And, it began to show that there were issues already bedeviling, that cross-section of the society. And a lot of persons were beginning to ask, where lies the hope of the common man? It is good you're having this conversation, and it is imperative that they begin to, address these issues by sanctioning those lawyers who are seen to have violated or have carried out any misconduct at the end of the day.
Interesting. Edo government ratifies suspension of 71 Inige by Oba of Benin, Ewari II. That's an interesting story to read. Now, moving on to this Nigeria. Immunity. Reps want VP, governors stripped of privilege. Bill scales second reading, section 308, to give qualified privileges only to presidents. So
what do we term as qualified?
So if you have immunity as a governor, you need to watch out, because it looks like they want to shred your toga, your cloth, your cloak, out of your body.
But would that lead to accountability at the end of the day?
That's the question, because one of the reasons why this is on is because they say that they will be distracted when it comes to people alleging, cases against them, corruption, accountability, etc., that it might distract them. That's why they need to be immune.
I believe we should strengthen our institutions, because even after you shred them of all of these immunity clause that you're talking about, to give them qualitative clause, the institution, can they hold them to account at the end of the day, despite all of these changes that we're trying to make? Strengthening the institution is more, in my own perspective. Yeah,
quite interesting developments. Rivers administrator suspends SSG commissioners, other political appointees, and another paper has it as asking them to give account of their stewardship, quote unquote.
You see, what's happening in Rivers State is quite interesting, but the sole administrator is acting within the ambits of the powers vested on him. So it is not out of place, but then it's been generating reactions, because on the one hand there is pressure to return the suspended governor back and all of his appointees. What happens to them at the end of the day if he is, taking them out and, replacing them immediately with some other persons? Are we really addressing the real issues? That's a question some Nigerians are
asking. Very important questions. Now, moving on to Blueprint newspaper. Constitution review. Reps poised to strip VP, governors, deputies of immunity. Pass 44 alteration bills for second reading. Recommend 6 new states so far. Natasha Gates, INEC notifies Akpoti Uduahan of recall petition. Ibokete orders Rivers local government heads to submit council reports. Ex-chairman visits Fubara Shetima to judiciary, don't submit to blackmail, but sustain integrity, rule of law. I wanted to quickly spare a thought on the Natasha story. Because INEC has notified Akpoti Uduaghan of recall petition by his constituents who had, at a point in time, before submitted the petition, but there were incongruity when it comes to their signatures and then proper address and all of that. So they've done that, and they've now gone back to INEC for consideration.
INEC will still review all of those, details that were sent to them at the end of the day. But recall that the suspended Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduaghan had said that should have dismissed, the process right from the beginning. But it is within their rights, her constituents' right, to say, you know what, we want to recall you for whatever reason. Some have said she did not suspend herself in the first place. Why are they pushing for her recall and all of it? Whatever the issues are, I think that we need to ensure transparency in the processes that we're having. And at the end of the day, we see that justice is done. Seem to be done in all of the processes on the part of INEC, on the part of the Senate, and on her own part, that she's been transparent, allowing the processes go on, and not just saying, dismiss this thing, don't allow the process go on. Allow the full course of the law to run its course at the end of the day, and then let's see the outcomes.
That's a very beautiful insight. But if you look at this, on the bottom strip of the Blueprint newspaper, Petro1 advises Nigerians against panic buying, says NNPCL sustaining supply. Well, Dangote notified us that, listen, we're suspending the Naira to crude for Naira.
Crude for Naira swap.
Yeah, swap, the deal that they had. And then there's this talks going on. Marketers are already keeping their holding fill in preparation. They know how to prepare for when things are going on, but they don't know how to prepare for when things are coming down.
But at the end of the day, I think that the average Nigerian should be at the heart of whatever decision. That contract that the Dangote refinery had with the federal government is 6 months, and it's to expire at the end of March.
That's right.
And because he does not know how things will turn out, if they will continue the contract or they would not continue, he decided, let me take up a safe spot as it is. I believe that's why he made that decision.
Right.
So at this point, it is for the federal government, the NNPCL, everybody to decide the position of things, because it has benefited Nigerians
Most
so
definitely.
far.
Right, so talking about Tribune newspaper, reps move to strip VP governors, deputy governors of immunity to probe over 1.24 trillion naira Sukuk spent on 124 road projects. June 12, motion to immortalize Humphrey Nwosu fails, causes row in Senate. This very much bickering among the senators right on the floor of the Senate, saying that it was a cause. He enabled June 12 to happen, what we talk about June 12 today, and others say, no, we just must immortalize him. How do we do that?
Now, after that declaration that statement by the former military head of state, Ibrahim Babangida, so a lot of persons decided, okay, it is high time now to immortalize him. But Humphrey Nwosu couldn't have taken that decision on his own. At that time, it wasn't a democracy. It was military.
But he could have recused himself. That's what some people said.
He could have recused himself. What if he did not have that opportunity? What could have happened to him after he recused himself? So he was perhaps afraid and decided to toe the line of the decisions of the persons that made that decision at that point. So if there are those saying, oh, we cannot because they feel he played a part, he could have... Most of them, if they sat on his seat at that point, wouldn't have done any better, from my perspective. So
others will have said, whatever will happen, posterity will always judge. The decision you took, or you will take, maybe in the near future. He was
forced to take that decision. Let's not forget that.
Recall that when we talked about Babangida's launch of the book, I think it was Sam Omashi that said there should be a monument where names of the people who did bad for this country should be there, so that great-grandchildren will go there.
What could he have done?
No, I'm not even talking about Humphrey Nwosu this time around, because the debate is neither here nor there. So it's left for for Nigerian people to decide how do we want to immortalize him.
Well, whatever it is, I feel that he deserves to be immortalized at the end of the day.
And he's played a role.
Yeah.
Above the masthead, presidential directive, customs suspends import duty, VAT on pharmaceutical raw materials. We'll definitely talk about this in the next paper, which is the Punch newspaper. We've got 91 groups seek INEC registration as coalition talks gather steam. Electoral body says no application rejected as opposition gears up to challenge ruling party.
Ibrahim, you know what pains
election
me?
Season, before you come in, election season in, season out. We'll have lots and lots of opposition parties, some coalesce, others will say we want to run the affair. And you now see ballot as long as prayer mats.
That's what actually pains me, that these people are not taking up their spot. In a democracy like ours, what do you then do after the election? Why are you not being a vibrant opposition? Why are you not standing your place? That it shows me that we are not being sincere with we saying we want the best for Nigeria, where you should have stood to speak, to fight, to do whatever is necessary so as to force the hand of the opposition, because you are taking a spot, to do the needful. You are not there, but you want to coalesce because of what you benefit at the end of the day. For me, that is not being sincere. That is not you trying to serve the country. Rather, it's for your own interest.
Most definitely. Above the masthead, we have states oppose bill seeking immunity, removal from VP, governors, deputies. Natasha recall, INEC notifies Senate as constituents amend petition. Rivers emergency rule, PDP governors ask Supreme Court to reinstate Fubara, Ibas sacks appointees. Well, we've got traffic now as motorists battle flood on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. It looks like it was going to rain yesterday in my area. The weather was, I mean, the cloud was very pregnant, but I didn't see it. It
didn't birth.
It didn't give birth. But I don't know how this happened.
My area too was cool. I woke up this morning, the weather was really cool, and I was wondering if it rained. But unfortunately, it seems it happened on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and that has got some level of perhaps flash flood and all of it. But we should understand now that climate change would, bring up such things. So we should put measures in place to addressing it, because that's a major route, and we can't afford flooding on that route.
On that route, very interesting. Now, Nigeria News Direct is next. Jubilation, Veronica, as NYC begins 77,000 naira payments to core members. We didn't get this opportunity. But if you look at inflation at that time compared to this time, I don't know how it's going to look like.
Well, it's good that the federal government has kept its promise, because I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and he goes, government made promise, they are not fulfilling it. Can government tell me that they did not know that these monies had not been paid, blah, 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 and stuff. Now, here we are.
And they're going to pay, arrears,
so it's good that they decided to make that payment fulfill the promise.
That's right.
But if there was anything that was hindering the payment all the while, they should have communicated.
That's right.
Because that is where there is a trust deficit with the people, because you made a promise, you are not seeing it, then explain to the people why it's not happening. But it's good that they've kept that promise.
At least it's one of the featured in the 30-day rant challenge that these are Otondos are doing on on the social media. Now, local health sector gets boost as customs waive import duty on pharmaceutical raw materials. Good news, you think?
Absolutely, absolutely, because we've been seeing issues with substandard medication, fake medication, everywhere in recent times. But I believe that with this happening now, a lot of persons will heave a sigh of relief in manufacturing and doing whatever is necessary, so that people can have the quality of medication that they need at the end of the day. So it's good that they are waiving it, but for how long? Is this something that will be on for a long while?
That's right.
We need that intervention as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so I think this story is worth mentioning under the nameplate, where we have, Airtel donating 1 billion naira to support federal government's 3MTT program. Remember, the Minister of Digital Economy, Tijani, pushing this program agenda, not just for the youth, but for Nigeria as a whole, to boost our, tech infrastructure. So we need to be seeing private entities, coming into this business. But quickly, let's rush to the Guardian newspaper with the main headline here: National Automotive Policy in Limbo, 136 billion naira investment stock. And infographics reads, 58 assemblers spent $756 million in 5 years of NAIDP. Of the 58 firms, 20 closed operations in 2024, only 6 are actively assembling vehicles, but with extremely low capacities. We just must boost this, automotive industry in the country.
Absolutely. It's something that enabling businesses to thrive is something we have often spoken about.
Yeah.
Many years ago, we had several automotive companies in Nigeria, but a lot of them had to migrate to other countries where they felt that their businesses will thrive and all of it. So making the environment conducive business-wise for these people to thrive is key as it is. How can we just have 5 actively assembling vehicles, but with extremely low capacities? They must improve their capacities, because this is how people get gainfully employed, and then people can afford to buy vehicles.
Absolutely, because I remember Nord CEO saying that vehicles are very expensive, and Nigerians should not have to pay through their nose to get this. So if they want to do that, the money should be spread, over the years, maybe for 5 to 6 years. And that some that he tried to do it, but others bolted. Some bolted, with the car. He didn't see the money.
Yeah. That you expect that from
trustworthiness.
Trustworthiness is one currency that is hard to find in this part of the world. But we need to put measures in place to ensure that, especially for employment,
that's right,
and for people who want to buy vehicles.
I think we also need to look at consuming local content.
Yes.
We have Nord, we have Innocent, we have Dangote also getting, I think with Peugeot or all of that. So last but not least, here is the Sporting Live. Man United seek early raid for Lookman. Shell confirms Russia-Ghana friendlies in June. I don't know. You want to say something about that?
Which exactly?
Yeah, Shell, talking about Nigeria's coach, Super Eagles coach, confirming Russia-Ghana friendlies in June. That should be on page 7.
After his poor performance with Zimbabwe, is that what you're saying? Is that why you're saying that?
Yeah.
Anyway, of course, friendlies will always go on.
Yeah.
Whether you perform well or not, it was just one match. Of course, we're looking to qualify for the World Cup. But how that we go with Ghana, who are tough rivals, they do not like us on the pitch at all. So I don't know how he wants to do that, but it's good. Perhaps this will stir up and trigger something in the minds of the players. But it's a good one from my perspective. Let's keep ourselves active.
Right, because of our time, let me just mention these. 2024 Pitch Awards, Lukman, Ajibade Iwobi, Governor Umar Eno emerge winners. Good way to go. Noma rates Osimhen above Aikadi, Zeko, and Zeko. Is it Immobile or Immobile?
Immobile.
Immobile. Well, Osimhen is Superman, look at his mask, and he does not just wear the
there's
mask.
A reason for the mask.
He proves it.
There's a reason for the mask. But he deserves it. He deserves it. He has shown that he is worthy of receiving this recognition. And he can only do more. That's why people are rushing for him, to have him in, in their perhaps games and all of that. But then he's doing well for himself. And I think other players, Nigerian players, should borrow a leaf from that, because the moment he was pulled out of that game with Zimbabwe, it seemed like there was nobody there.
Absolutely. And
so it now begs the question, what are you guys doing?
And Osimhen's leave, we say that's the end of the newspaper review for today on